Welcome to the virtual Wednesday edition of Getting the Word Out from the Bethel Baptist Church of Pasadena, California, where John T. McCall is our senior pastor. We pray that our Bible study ministry blesses you greatly. Meanwhile, if you'd like to be a blessing to the Bethel Baptist Church ministry financially, you can do it at bethelpasadena.org. Just click on the Giving tab and follow the instructions. Your support of this ministry is greatly appreciated. Our pastor is coming with an anointed word. Again, thanks for joining us here at Bethel Baptist Church of Pasadena.
Wow. Today in our society, life for many families is so complicated.
Yeah.
And one of the things I know Congress is talking about, and a lot of jurisdictions are talking about now, are ensuring that they have social workers, and you're going to call for a mental health crisis.
Yeah.
Whether police are trained to handle that or not. And so I'm conflicted. Because I'm a social worker, and I'm not sure how well we operate in that role or not.
Yeah.
And so what should we? I understand the need for social services. I've done ride-alongs. I went to Pasadena Police Academy and finished all of that. But I'm not sure, as a social worker, I'm talking about John McCall, that I want to be in a heated domestic violence situation, where somebody may have a gun.
Right.
I'm not sure what I do, except for run and hide.
But you remember the days when they used to have PET teams, psychological evaluation teams, and that was it. That is a resource that law enforcement had.
Right.
They don't have that anymore. So you go in there and you have to deal with the situation the best that you can. If they want to talk about all of these different programs and to replace the police, what you need to do is get those programs to augment the police.
Yes.
Because if I go around into a situation and I see where this one is getting ready to go a little crazy, then I can call somebody from the PET team. They can come out there. I've already mellowed the situation down. So all you got to come out and do your evaluation and say, this is what this person needs.
Yes.
But that is another one of those resources that has been taken away.
Wow.
You can look at a lot of different stuff that's out there. Like you said, you've seen a lot of that. And the years that I was there, I saw a lot of those things all of a sudden start going away. Even up to you talk about when I first got into law enforcement, like I said, my conversations with a police officer who was at a school, school resource officer. All the kids in that school loved that man. If they did not have a school resource officer program, I would never have been a cop, because I would not have interacted with him out in the street.
Okay.
There's a lot of the kids that are at school, and at the schools that I worked at, I eventually became a school resource officer, that decided that still to this day will call me and will talk to me about different things and decisions they make and that they're going to make. And I'm talking about some 30, 40 years ago when I talked to these kids.
Wow.
I literally had a young man who I dealt with as a school resource officer who went to prison. He got out of prison. He's on parole. Looked me up, because I live in the city. Talk to all kind of people. I'm getting phone calls. Hey, man, so-and-so looking for you, man. So-and-so looking for you. So I thought he was in prison. Yeah, he just got out. He's looking for you, man. Now I'm trying to figure out, why this dude looking for me, man? He knocks on my door. And we're sitting there talking, and he said, hey, man, and he wants to apologize to me for not listening to me.
Wow. Yeah.
See, those are different type of programs. If you talk about it, those are the type of programs that help to strengthen relationships.
Yeah.
And too many law enforcement agencies, they don't really work hard. They're not intentional about strengthening relationships in the communities. They'll do things after the fact. People always talk about that this is a progressive department. This is a progressive chief. This is a person that's moving forward. He's doing this and the other. Or he or she is doing this and the other. Okay, but they don't take the time to really and truly just embrace
The community.
the community.
Community. The
And,
community.
and I say communities,
Okay.
because it's not only a black community.
Yeah.
You know, that was me. You know, when I was out there, you know, like I'd be all over the place, but I always had my time that I'm going to spend with the black community.
Okay. Okay.
You know, I know it's hard to tell, but I was born black.
Yes.
You know, so I'm going to spend some time in the black community.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and you just don't have that. The environments that are out there right now are just, it's more of a us versus them.
Them.
And that's not good. That's not good at all. I was talking to a couple of police officers not too long ago, shortly after George Floyd, and while the protest was going on and things of that sort. And I told them, I said, just understand, there's still a lot of people, more people that are still supportive of the police than they are against the police. And then they said, well, it sure don't feel like it. I said, of course it don't feel like it. We did something wrong.
Yes.
He said, I didn't do anything wrong. I said, police in their mind did something wrong.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be me.
Right.
You know that.
Yes.
And I told her, I said, you know that. If one person wearing a uniform does something wrong, it's the police.
Police. Yes.
So we have to deal with that because of our brothers and sisters that make a mistake someplace else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you want, and I said this, I said, if you're going to sit here and tell me that people don't have a legitimate reason to protest over this murder, he said, no, that's not what I'm saying. It's just that, you know, wearing this blue uniform, it's like I'm a target. I said, I was a target.
Okay.
I said, it is a little different, but the uniform, because of what we do, makes us a target.
Yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned community.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of times we get away from that. And we lose sight of what's it about. I mean, the church.
Yeah.
The church is located within a specific community
Yeah.
that has a specific God-ordained assignment in the community. And I always tell the members here at Bethel that if the church closed tomorrow, with community care, well, first of all, would they even know that we closed? Because at least, are you making a difference?
Right. That's the key.
You know, and I think community is so vital
Right.
Today, and so you get so into your own island, isolated,
Yeah.
doing your own thing, that you sometimes forget the broader picture
Right.
of what community means.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because salvation is not just for black folks.
That's right. That's
It's
right.
for everybody we meet.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
You know,
That's right.
And so community plays a large role
Yeah.
in this. And so today, if you were talking to families, not just a black family, but a family in general, in light of all that's happening, what advice would you give a parent to tell their child, their children, if you pull over by the police, here's what you should do?
Basically, the same thing my father used to always tell me, you know, and because it's unfortunate, but it hasn't changed. You know,
Okay.
you have to, you just obey. You know, like you're always respectful, and you know, make sure your hands are where they can see you. You know, don't talk derogatory, and if there's anything out of the norm that happens, you make sure that you wait until you leave. And then you let your parents know. The part that I will add to it is that when let the officer do whatever they're doing, you know, then you just ask, can I get your business card? Here in Pasadena, it is a policy. Every police officer should have a business card. And if they don't have it, you know, you just say, okay, not a problem, not a problem. You just make sure that after it's all clear, you call the watch commander. You need to call him out the minute you do it. Right after, hey, I would just stop at this particular location, by a police officer. He didn't have a business card. I want to talk to the supervisor. What that does is that they are able to actually put where you are and look at the screen real quick and say, okay, that was whatever this officer happens to be, and then they can get that to the watch commander or the sergeant. And they can do whatever they have to do. The part for the young people, even the older folks that are out there, don't embellish on the story.
Okay.
I mean, don't embellish on the story. If the officer did something wrong, just talk about what the officer did wrong. Don't embellish on it.
Okay.
You know, because we do a good job of that.
Yeah.
And then this, and then this, just the officer
Okay.
did this. All right, and then you go from there. There's a whole lot stuff that happens behind the scenes, but I can't tell you about a lot of other agencies, but I can tell you about Pasadena. Pasadena is not going to sweep any complaints under the rug. Got burnt behind that a long time
Okay.
ago. So I shouldn't say they're not going to. Very rarely will they, because you know, there are no absolutes. I would love to be able to say that, but that ain't going to happen too often. Because they want to be sure that they're doing the accountability piece. But you need to make sure that you make those calls. You know, let your just when you're on the scene, you're right there. Bite your lip. You know, so quiet as it's kept. I've had my time. You know, and I'm sitting there trying to figure out, dude, you just saw my badge.
Right.
I said, dude, you know. I said, okay, no problem. So it happens. You know, for the folks that say, oh, that doesn't really, it happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
You know, so that's basically what I have to tell you.
Listen, man, I want to thank you for coming. I mean, I got just a couple more. You know, biblically, the Apostle Paul in Romans, I think around chapter 13, talks about that we are to obey those in authority over us.
Right.
You know, now Paul, some of this, you know, and never going against the Bible, and I understand cultural texts of that day and time, and then today, you know, and human government was established by God in Genesis.
Right.
And so Paul talks about obeying those who have the authority over you. And so given that law enforcement and government and all of that in their rules, what do you think about the Black Lives Movement now that's going on? And the protest?
You know, and I think I kind of alluded to it before. There is a reason for the protest. There is a reason. And the question that's in my mind is, what is our plan B? What is our plan C? Because we are at a point now where people have heard. Now you have, I know that we're having conversations, you know, like as far as a lot of chiefs of police. The black chiefs were up in Sacramento a couple of weeks ago, you know, black chiefs, California black chiefs. And I know Noble is constantly meeting with folks to try to change policies and things of that sort. But as a movement, what is our plan B? What is our plan C? Because as we're changing all of this stuff here, we need to be sure that when they start bringing it out, rolling it out into the streets, that we also have that groundswell to be sure that it's sustainable. You know, because you cannot mandate compassion.
No.
You cannot mandate love. You cannot mandate respect. You know, and so all of this stuff is going to be, you know, like in writing. But we're going to have to try to have this groundswell, the Black Lives Movement, the law enforcement folks that are on the streets. We have to have all of this working, and the reality is that we're at a point now where we can do a lot more collaborating now, because I think that the point has been made. We can't. I'm not saying turn off the heat.
Right.
I'm just saying there needs to be a next step.
Yeah.
You know, because the heat is there.
Okay.
And we got to keep the heat on, but we also have to have step 2.
Yes. And the more I hear about it, and I'm not that concerned about whether you sing the Black National Anthem before a sporting event.
Yeah.
That doesn't interest me.
Right.
What interests me is that at the sporting event, who owns the box that the popcorn comes in?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, what company owns that?
Yeah.
Or what company owns the popcorn?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Or where are you buying your Dodger dog from?
Right,
You
right,
know,
right,
You know,
right.
because singing the anthem doesn't
Yeah.
do anything for me. You know, it
Right.
might make me look emotional. Oh, they sung it, but what does that do for me economically?
Right, right. right.
And so if the goal is to elevate and to move along socially and economically,
Right.
then I'm not sure how singing the black national anthem
Right.
helps me.
Right.
You know,
right.
it may help me learn all the words to it, but
Yeah.
but I'm not sure how that helps me. And so
No, I
I
got you.
think in this moment, I think, you know, like you said, it has to be what's step 2, what's
Right.
step 3.
Right.
Given the fact that we have a president, and I'll say it, have a president who runs on this the platform of law and order, and I'm not real sure what that means. Given the fact that law and order says you should wear a mask, he doesn't wear one. You know, that law and order says you should maintain social distancing, and he or his people don't. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what is law and order for us,
Yeah.
and not for. So I'm not sure what that means. But I'm gonna ask the question anyway.
I don't know what the question is.
What do you think about this platform of law and order? How is that being played out in society right now?
For me personally, what I'm seeing a lot more of is kind of like the Pharisees.
Okay.
They know the law,
Uh-huh.
but they don't practice it.
Okay.
You know, and specifically when we talked about the guy in the White House, they know the law, but they don't practice it, and it's only meant to hold others down and lift them up. You know, and so the bottom line is that this is more the reason why I'm saying there needs to be the phase 2, there needs to be the phase 3, because see, as long as you got somebody like that in office, you're going to have issues, because it's all about I'm in charge and you're not. I'm the police and you're not.
Okay.
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Okay.
You know?
As an African American man,
Uh-huh.
you know, how have you been able to navigate all of this? You're retired, but 7 years removed,
7 years removed. Yeah.
but you're still an African American brother, born in the South, reared by Southern parents.
That's right. That's right.
So how have you been able to separate the two?
Law enforcement and being black.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, sometimes you almost lose yourself, depending on what your focus is. I can only imagine what some of the brothers and sisters are going through right now. I can only imagine what a lot of them were going through in the 60s when you had all the riots. Because you want to do what's right, you know, for the department, but you also want to do what's right for the people. That should not be separated.
Okay.
But sometimes an organization loses sight, or I should say, puts their image ahead of doing the right thing.
Okay.
You know, and the officers get caught up in it. I don't know how much time we got, but real quick story.
Yeah, we have time. We have
you
time.
remember Ed Bryant? You remember
Yes,
Brother
yeah,
Bryant?
yes, huh?
Knew him well,
Okay.
very well, and we had there in the court, his office in the court.
Yeah.
And I had gotten to the point where there was to been a couple of weeks straight
Okay.
where I was just dealing with a bunch of hard-headed black folks that, I didn't realize I was related to them, but apparently I looked like their Uncle Tom.
Okay.
You know, and I was all kind of this, all kind of that. And it had got to a point where I just said, okay, all right, you know, I got several books this thick with nothing but laws in it. You know, and I used to tell people that I got books this thick with nothing but laws in it for reasons to take you to jail.
Right.
That's the mentality that I started getting. I don't know how long that had happened, and then I just happened to go over to Brother Bryant's office, and I'm sitting there talking, and I was so fed up, and there was nothing but cuss words that came out of my mouth when I was talking to him. He didn't say a word, just looked at me, and then he said, "Obviously, you think you're still out in the street." And I just caught myself. I said, wow. Apologized to him. And it's that one little conversation helped me to remember that what I'm dealing with is really less than 1% of the folks that I deal with on a regular basis.
Right.
Less than 1% of the folks that I deal with are idiots like this.
Right.
I had a Brother Brian. I wonder if a lot of the brothers and sisters now have a Brother Brian or have somebody that can whisper in their ear to remind them, this is what your job is. See, that's what helped me to get through. You know, I had a Brother Brian. I had several brothers that, you know, in the church that if they saw me doing something wrong, almost just like when I was growing up in Nicholson Gardens, if I did something wrong at school, there were several folks that were, before I got home to my mama, but they knew. And I get whooped on the way home. Same thing when I was working here. You know, the mentality has gotten to the point where we don't want, law enforcement doesn't want anybody to tell you did anything wrong. I was fine with it because that's the way I was raised. If I did something wrong, it is, and somebody tells me, that's to help me to get better. You know, so, you know, to answer the question, that's how I got through. My prayer is that the brothers and sisters, not only, you know, I'm talking specifically black, because they're going through something I did not go through. I came in after the riots, and I left before this one. I was there during Rodney King, but that's nothing like what's going on now. So I didn't have to deal with it. But I know that, I believe that the supporting cast that I had outside of law enforcement is what helped me to keep my balance. You know, because I already knew there are going to be white folks, there can be black folks that really don't care about me. All they're going to want to do is to try to trip me up. And I'm not going to lose myself because I'm trying to do what this person wants me to do. You know, and the prayer is, and all I can say is the prayer is that they have someone like I have, some people like I have, you know, because that's what you need. You know, if you're looking for that support in law enforcement, everybody's reeling, you know, because of the idiot moves of a couple of folks. You know, the cop in Minneapolis basically just, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back. But then we've had several other idiots doing the stupid stuff. And all that does is just keep deteriorating and deteriorating the relationships between law enforcement and the community. And the thing is unfortunate is a lot of police leaders don't respond to that until after the fact. You got to be working on it before, because there will always be another incident, and you got to work on it afterwards. It is a continual thing. You know, just like you constantly going out there working on your tactics, you better be working on relationships. You got to work on relationships. Work on relationships. Constantly work on the relationships. And if you don't, you know, because the thing about it is, if I go out and I'm working on relationships, it does a couple of different things. It takes away the mystery, because that's what happens. A lot of times people look at law enforcement as it's mysterious. I don't know what they're doing. You know, they're talking in codes to do this, that, and the other. You know, and when even cops, you know, but you don't. This is law enforcement. You don't understand. But educate me. You know, but those are the things that happen. We need to work on relationships. You know, Don't sit back and come and talk to me, in long, flowery, 50-cent words. Let's work on a relationship. Like sometimes that means that we're just going to sit here and we look at each other's eyes and we talk. And from the law enforcement side, listen more than talk.
Well, you've given me some helpful ideas just listening to you. Because as a church and a community, I just think now, if ever, if we're going to bring that dialogue together, let's talk.
Yeah.
And like you said, your coworker, I hear you, but I don't agree. Well, all right, as long as you hear me.
Right.
As long as you understand.
Right.
You have to agree.
Right. Exactly.
Right? But now at least you heard me and you understand.
Right.
Where I'm coming from in this. Ed Bryan was just, was one of my heroes when I came to Pasadena, and watching the work he did. Now, you said you've never written a book. And so I think you have a wealth of knowledge to go inside of a book. And I guess my final question would be, Lieutenant Rodney D. What would you want your legacy to be remembered as in Pasadena for those 34 years? I'm quite sure, in fact, what I know you from as being a helping hand in the African American community, and being a positive force for right. But since you don't have a book, and you haven't written one yet, and so for now, until you write your book, what would you want your legacy to be remembered as a Christian, saved, African American, raised in the South, retired lieutenant?
Wow.
And family man. Wow. What would you want that to be?
Well, it's a short answer, but it's easy, but it's kind of long, because I have to go back to my grandfather, actually. My grandfather was the Negro editor, or the editor of the Negro News in Montgomery. Of course, the white newspaper, the advertiser, I think it was, and they had the Negro News. So he was the editor of that. And I went back and I started reading some of the different articles in there. I said, wow, in those days, he was bold enough to put some of that stuff in print. The house wasn't burnt down and things of that sort. So, but not only that, but the one thing that he did that I sat back and I looked at, I said, wow, that's a trip, was that he was able to bring about change as it relates to the educational system in Montgomery, in Alabama. And that was that I believe it was you could go to school up to the 9th grade, and if you wanted to go beyond that, you had to pay for it. He was able to work it out through working with the city and the state and superintendent and things of that sort, where education was free up to 12th grade.
Wow.
I didn't know any of that. Once again, I said we don't do a good job of doing history. I went back and I was looking at some of the articles. I saw that. I said, "Are you serious? My grandfather? That's the lineage I come from." Well, and so one of the things that I have always wanted to do, my wife and I, is just plant some of those same seeds. Seeds that will grow into a nice, beautiful garden, and then the young people that we deal with. She's a teacher. She works at John Muir. The young people that we deal with, they will grow, and eventually they will start to grow another garden. And it just keeps on perpetuating itself. Just a beautiful garden of successful young people. If you want to talk about what I would like my legacy to be, that's it. It's Rodney D. and Denitha Wallace family legacy. But that's where it is.
All right. Listen, man, I want to thank you. I want to thank you for today, for agreeing to this. This is different, as we're trying to bring the Bible to reality and talk about the world in which we live in, what the Bible has to say about truth and justice and having conversations in love. And this has been a conversation in love as we deal with the police. And so, ma'am, thank you. Thank you for your years of service and what you've brought to the city to the Pasadena Police Department, and to the community. And I pray that God gives you long life to enjoy your retirement and many more years of health and fun and write your book. To Bethel and all of our guests who've tuned in today, thank you for watching, and I pray that you've been enlightened and blessed by our first in a number of series, and us attempting to bring the Bible to reality. Stay blessed, and see you on Sunday morning.
Thanks for joining our Wednesday night virtual service here at Bethel Baptist Church of Pasadena, California. Again, visit our website for giving information and more. It's bethelpasadena.org. On behalf of Pastor John T. McCall, thanks for watching. If you're ever in the Pasadena-San Gabriel Valley area, we invite you to come in and visit with us at 1972 North Fair Oaks, Pasadena, California. To order a copy of today's message or for more information, log on to bethelpasadena.org or call the church office at 626-794-3136.